My screen is visible. Okay. Fine. So I wanted to just cover one topic called as regular expression. Regular expressions in Python. It's an important topic. So I have given some examples. I'll just cover this topic. I'll be adding some programs based on regular expressions in Moodle. Okay. So basically, regular expressions is an important topic which we will be studying in detail in the coming semester subjects. Okay. In compiler design, in Unix programming, you'll be learning them. But generally, regular expressions, what does they do is they will help you to do some tasks in very quick way. Okay. For example, I want to find some characters in some string, right? So instead of using complicated logic like loops and all, you can do that with the help of a regular expression module. So Python has the module name called as RE. Okay. So to work with the regular expressions, you need to import RE first. Without that, you can't do the regular expression. So what kind of problems you can solve with the regular expression I have given here. So more problems I'll be adding so you can practice later on. So what is the job of regular expression you see here? See what does it do here is this is a user defined function, right? Special character basically. I'm define the name as special character. So what we are doing in this code, we are sending a parameter with this certain characters, right? So what I'm checking here is, so there is an inbuilt function again in the regular expression module called as compile. So what I'm doing is with the help of regular expression. So re dot compile in the bracket. So if you want to use a regular expression, this is one way, right? So you have to write R followed by what is the expression you are giving. So this particular thing is called as regular expression. So what it is doing, we are checking basically whether the given string contains either characters from A to Z, capital A to Z, or 0 to 9. If it contains such characters, I want to print that the string contains all these uh, values mentioned in the bracket. Suppose if any string that doesn't contain these characters, what I'm saying, the string is not having these specified characters. So we are calling this function with this data, right? Then we are writing re.compile. Okay, re.compile. So this particular thing is the regular expression, entire thing. That data I'm storing it in this regular expression variable character re. Then using this data, character re dot search. This is also an inbuilt function. Character re dot search string, whatever the string that I passed here, right? If this string contains these characters, then it will return the data as, see here, we are returning the data. Return not bool string, basically. If it doesn't contain these characters, we will return this uh, variable as false, right? So in this case, it contains all the mentioned characters in the regular expression. So what we are getting as the output, true case. In the second printf function, we're passing some special characters, correct? So this particular set of values doesn't contain this data. So what is the output I am getting? False data. So With the help of regular expression, you can do these kind of things basically. Just to search whether certain data is there or not. For example, I'll write 1, 2, 3. So why it is returning true for this particular thing? Because this string contains any of these characters, not all necessarily, any of the characters. So that is done by cap symbol. So cap is nothing but XOR, right? This cap symbol is nothing but XOR. So what does it matches? Whether if the characters matches, suppose 1 is there here, 0 to 9, 1 is there here also, and whatever I'm passing here also 1 is there, right? It is doing XOR operation. Until that character is found, it will keep on searching for the that particular character in the string. Once the data is matched, it will return the whatever the value it is matching, it will return that to the string. Correct? So with the help of regular expression, we can do this kind of task. Basically, what is the job of regular expression? So I didn't give you the definition, no? So what is the meaning of regular expression? In short, it is called as REGX, right? It is a sequence of characters that forms a search pattern. REGX can be used to check if a string contains a specified character. That is the main thing. It uses a search pattern to find a string or set of strings. Only for that purpose, you can use the regular expression. It is a special sequence of characters that uses a search pattern to find a string or a set of strings. If I want to check if certain things appear in the given string, in that case only regular expression can be used. Got it? So I have some examples here. We'll see one by one. So now what I want to do is, this is the question. I want to check if the certain string, if the given string is followed by one or more B's. So what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I want to check if a string contains one or more B's. That is the condition, right? String contains A. If a string contains, question is if a string contains A followed by one or more B's, that is the question. So I want to check something like this. Suppose A, B, C, D. This is a string, right? I want to check if this string contains A, and that should be immediately followed by either one or more B's, right? That is the meaning. So to achieve this, what we're doing, we are passing that particular string to this function, text match, right? Then we are declaring a pattern like this. This is a pattern. This also can be considered as regular expression, right? So in the single quote, you have to mention that. All regular expression can be mentioned with a single quote. If you don't want to do this directly, there is a particular function called as compile. Okay, re.compile. So any one thing you can use re.compile. Okay. So this is another way. Suppose if you don't want to use directly, you can use R alphabet followed by the regular expression, right? Then that after that, this you have to attach this to re.compile. Okay, so you have to compile the whatever the string that you want to check for the given string. String pattern is this re.compile string pattern regular expression. Okay, so string pattern to find 3 consecutive digits. This is the question. So whether the particular string contains 3 consecutive digits. This is the question, right? So what is the pattern they are using here? R double quote slash D in the bracket 3. Okay. So what it is doing basically, all the matches string basically, all the strings that matches with this particular criteria. So in this particular example, see there are three numbers which matches the given criteria slash D of 3. Okay, so in that way you can use the regular expression. So in this example, what we are doing, we are not using re.compile, we are using re.search. Both are valid actually. So you can use any one of those. So what we are doing here, my question is a string should contain a followed by one or more b's, right? So how will you write regular expression for this? Obviously a should be there compulsory, followed by b, then plus. Why we are adding plus here? The question says that it can contain a b initially, but after that it can contain one or more b's, right? So this is the condition. It should have a followed by b plus. So this plus indicates that any number of b's or at least one b. Then question mark. So this question mark indicates what? It can be 1, 2, 3 or whatever. So it should be at least one or more than one. Suppose if I change this data, right? So what we are returning, if the re.search function, we are calling re.search function. This is also inbuilt function. Search function accepts two parameters, the given pattern followed by the text that you are passing. So if this particular pattern matches with the given text, what we will return? Found a match, else return not matched, correct? So AB, this is a valid input, right? So that's why what is the output we are getting? We are finding a match. Suppose if I write something like this, A account, something like this. So why we are not getting here for the second printf statement? Why I am getting not matched? Why I'm getting not matched? Because this particular string has A, but it doesn't have any alphabet followed immediately by B. So let me check here something like this. Now it is giving me found a match. Why? Because this may not have contained that A followed by B, but this particular part is able to match up with the given pattern, correct? So it is need not to appear immediately in the beginning of the string. It can be anywhere in the entire string. So it is not a rule that it has to match from the beginning. So it can be anywhere in between the string or at the end of the string, right? So A, B, C, D. Suppose if I write A, C, D, B, tell me why it is not matching. Is it a correct condition? Okay, I will allow you to unmute. So you can interact and give me the answers. So this particular string, ACDB, has A and B, but not matching with the given condition. Given condition is A should be there and that A should be immediately followed by B. Okay. So this is called as a regular expression to do this task, right? So the question mark indicates whether any number of B's are existing or not. Okay. The same question, what is the modification here? So just ignoring plus will give me a different output here. What is the regular expression I've given here? AB question mark. So this condition is say similar to the previous one, but the only difference here is the regular expression is an A should be followed by either 0 or 1B. Okay, at least 1B it has to be followed. If 0 B's means the output will be false actually. Okay, so here AB is there, true condition. This is also true, right? If I write ACDB, why I'm getting the found match output for this one? Analyze the condition. Here, AB plus indicate what? A has to be there and immediately B has to be there. Just by removing that plus symbol, what is the change we are getting? It can contain A or B. It is not mandatory that the pattern has to follow AB. It can contain either A or B anywhere in the string. If it is not in the order also, it's fine. But it has to be anywhere in the string. So here you see A is there, CD is there, after that B is there. Still it is a true output. because we are checking whether a string contains an A followed by either 0 or 1B anywhere in the given string, at least 1B. So this is the importance of regular expression. Okay. So small things, we can do it with a lot of different ways. And then see this example, string that has an A followed by 3Bs. Okay. This is a condition. In this condition, they have given properly that A should be followed by minimum 3Bs. Correct. So how will you achieve this? So then again, there is a different way to do this. So all these different type of patterns, regular expression patterns, you should learn, because there are a lot of patterns to do this. One or two pattern will not help you to know all the test cases. So you should be able to explore more problems, then only you'll get a clarity. So here, what is the condition? In the flower bracket, if you mention the number, then again it is a fixed pattern. That means A should be followed by exactly 3Bs, right? As an A followed by 3Bs or not. Not exactly, at least 3Bs. Suppose if I say, for example, A, B, C, D. So in the first string I have written A, B, C, D. What is the output I'm getting? Not matched, because this particular string doesn't have A followed by exactly 3Bs. I'll add one more B. Still it is not matched. So now you can say that this A is followed by exactly 3Bs. Okay. Here also may not be started in the beginning, but after this A, there are exactly 3Bs. So that is the condition. Okay. Suppose if I write B here, what will be the output? Why I am not getting the not matched output for the second string?
Sir, because after A there are only two B's.
Yeah. So the condition says that after A there are two Bs only. The condition is after A there should be three Bs. Now, how will you modify this pattern to get all the to get a string that has C followed by Bs? How will you modify this? 3Bs. I want you to modify this pattern. First, it should be starting by C, then followed by 3Bs.
CB3.
So what we will change? We'll change this to C, right? So you can change the condition however you want to, but the pattern, you should have a clarity what you are doing. Okay. Now tell me, I want A followed by B followed by C, three C's. What you will do?
A, B, C, 3.
A, B, C, 3. So obviously it won't give me the output. Now am I getting or not? This part is fixed, correct? ABC has to be there. After this string, again, I want three more compulsory three strings. What are those? C, right? So whatever you mention here, that has to be fixed pattern. After that, what you want, you can mention based on the requirement. So a lot of such patterns will be existing. So there are no limitations for this. So if I keep on telling you that you can teach one or 2 days based on regular expressions only. So I'm giving you the hints. I'll be adding the question. So based on the question, you need to find which kind of regular expression I need to apply to the given question. Okay. So if you have this idea, you can solve these kind of problems. And see this question. We have a string that has an A followed by 2 to 3 Bs. This is one more condition. What is the condition? At least 2 to 3 Bs should be there. So it is not fixed to 3. either 2 or 3. The same string has been modified to, same pattern has been modified to in the bracket 2 comma 3. So what does this 2 comma 3 indicates? At least 2 should be there. If not 2, more, at least 3 should be there. Okay. More than 3 also is allowed, but this is the minimum condition. At least 2 or 3. Okay. Not less than 2 or 3. So here we are getting not matched because it has only one. It has a B, but it doesn't have 2 to 3 B's, correct? But since this string has A followed by 2 B's, after that again 3 B's. So if I remove this, will it work? Why it is working for this?
Sir, because there are at least two B's.
It is not fixed that both should match any one. So it is like or condition 2 or 3. Okay. At least 2 or more than 2. I'll write AB, then A, B, B. Will it work? Will it
Yes,
return
sir.
true condition? AB is the input. After that, ABBC. Will it give found match? Yes. So AB is initially AB is there. After this B, we don't have 2 B's, but again after A, we have 2 more B's. Suppose if I make this as C, will it work? Observe carefully the modifications that I'm making. Will this string give you the return matched?
No.
Will it match?
No, sir.
Why?
There should be 2 or 3 B's after A.
After AB, correct? There
Yes.
should be 2 or 3 B's after AB, not A. So if I just want after A, is it matching still? No. So I'll
No,
make it as A.
only what, sir?
What happened now? What is this pattern is telling now? Can anyone tell me? What does it indicate?
Sir, at least two or more is.
After A, we should have at least
2 or 3 A's.
2 or 3 A's. Now I'm getting found match because after A, there are 2 A's here. So there is no fixed rule for creating the pattern. You can create the pattern however you want to based on the given question. Okay. So writing this pattern is an important skill actually. It doesn't come by one day. So you have to practice more questions, more problems, understand different ways of applying the regular expression. So please practice more problems based on the regular expressions. Okay. So to do all this, you should have be importing RE regular expression, then RE.search function, RE.compile function. These are the two most widely used regular expression functions. Okay. Similarly, some more ways of doing I'm showing you. Rest things you can do it in the model. So what is this question? Find sequence of lowercase letters joined by underscore. Okay, this is the condition. I need to find out all such strings which have a sequence of lowercase letters followed by joined by underscore. So when you hear the term join, it means that the first string is separate, the second string is separate. Okay, first string is separate, second string is separate. So you need to apply plus operator. Okay, so that's why what is the condition here? Cap symbol. So what is the meaning of this cap symbol? Cap symbol will tell you that until this particular pattern is matched, keep looking for that content in the given string. Okay. So we have used this kind of syntax in C also, like percentage, opening bracket, cap, slash n. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of this?
Edit set conversion.
Yeah. So it's an important concept we used in C. So what does this What is the difference between this and percentage yes? Percentage yes cannot read the data with the spaces, right? This thing will read the data input the string with the spaces until /n is matched. /n means what? Your enter key. You have enter button, right, in the keyboard. This /n is nothing but your enter button. Until /n is matched, keep entering the data. Keep reading the data. Whether space is there doesn't matter. So this is called as edit set conversion code. The same concept we are applying in the regular expression also. So here, instead of this /n, we can mention whatever the characters that you want to match, right? And this percentage is not required because this will read the data from the input screen. Here we are not reading any data from the input screen. We are creating the patterns. So you need to understand this syntax actually. So cap symbol means XOR. Once /n with the enter button is matched, output will be 0. That means I will stop reading the data. It's like that. Similarly, until this data is found, keep looking for the data A to Z. Once the data is found, go for the next pattern like that. So what is the question? Find the sequence of lowercase letters joined by underscore. So first thing is what? Cap of A to Z. See, A to Z, any lowercase letter you need to match. Then they are told join. Join means you have to use plus operator. Okay, plus. Immediately it should be joined by underscore letter, underscore keyword, right? So that's why they used underscore here. After that, what they told? Anything that is possible. See here. Sequence of lowercase letters joined by underscore. I didn't complete the question actually. Joined by underscore followed by sequence of lowercase letters and followed by sequence of lowercase letters. Okay, this is the condition. So observe the input and understand the sequence here. So here we are getting all the lowercase letter. It's a valid input followed by underscore followed by the lowercase letters. So this will return found a match. You need to understand why we are getting not matched here, because lowercase letters followed by what we are starting underscore. After underscore, what we are starting? After underscore, we are starting with uppercase letter. So this condition is not matched. Up to here, condition is matched, but after that, we are starting with uppercase letter. Okay, so obviously it won't work. Here also, same thing. Let me give any other input. Text underscore match. I start with ABCD underscore GRIET underscore Python underscore 123. Tell me, will it return found match case or not matched case?
Match.
Found.
Hmm? Found,
Match.
found match?
Not matched.
Not matched. So you need to understand what is happening here. No, somebody told me it won't match. Yeah. Okay, it's a old answer. Okay. Okay, now tell me why I'm not getting not matched. The output I'm getting is not matched, right?
Numerical.
Yeah. Numerical. Numerical is the problem. Okay, I'll remove the numerical.
Underscore after the lowercase letter underscore.
See, I removed the numerical. Still, I'm getting the not matched output. You need to analyze this kind of patterns actually. So why I'm getting not matched?
After GRIT there is underscore.
After
GRIT there is underscore.
after GRIT, there is underscore. Okay, if I remove this, What is the answer I'm getting? Found a match. Now tell me, what is this pattern suggesting you, or what you're understanding with this pattern? This is not a pattern, this is a regular expression. So from now on, we are using the keyword called as regular expression. Okay. So can you see in the all previous example, we didn't see the term dollar, correct? You should have observed this dollar.
Yes, sir.
So you people need to know what is the meaning of this dollar. Simply don't concentrate only on these things. From what value it is ending, you should be observing. It is ending with dollar here. Okay. So the dollar indicates what? Dollar indicates that it has to match with the exact condition what you are mentioning before that. Anything that follows after this means it will be a false case, right? So you can make a note of that. Dollar indicates what? The regular expression is suggesting you that the given string has to satisfy the given criteria only. What is the given criteria? Lowercase letter joined by underscore joined by again lowercase letter, correct? But plus is there here. What is this plus indicating? Again, you need to understand. What is this plus? What is this plus? Or this one?
Joining, sir. Like there shouldn't be anything after it.
There shouldn't be
Any
anything after that.
string after it.
Can I keep on entering the data like this?
Yes.
Yes.
See, A, B, C, D is matched, underscore is matched. After that, anything that comes should be having characters which are lowercase only, right? Which are lowercase only. A
Yes,
to
yes.
Z plus means you can keep on adding any number of characters, not an issue. But all of them should be of lowercase letters only. It has to, dollar indicates basically that before this, whatever comes, it has to match exactly. Anything that you add extra will not be a valid case. For example, I'll write here 1990. Okay, still taking. Yeah. So what is output you're getting? Not matched. Why? Because we told that end with
Space and numeric data.
yeah, only numerical data is not allowed basically. Only A to Z, anything that comes between A to Z is allowed. Okay. So please note that what is the importance of this dollar. The same thing in a different way now. What is the meaning of this now? It should start with uppercase, followed by not underscore, but immediately lowercase plus dollar, right? So again, this has to match exactly. Anything that you add separately will not work. But I think it is considering space also. We need to check once. Text underscore match A, B, C, D. After A, I'll try to give space. Great. Yeah. So is it matching now?
No, sir.
No.
So it won't consider space also because immediately it has to be joined by B. But I think, wait 1 minute. Yeah. So it won't work. So it has to be followed by A to Z immediately, capital A to Z, immediately followed by lowercase letters. So if you're adding space also in between, it won't consider. So it is not a match. Okay. Then there is something, same thing we are doing in a different way. So a lot of symbols you'll be getting in a regular expression. So already you got to know so many symbols, right? So from the beginning, dollar you understood, right? Opening bracket, flower bracket, whatever you mention in the flower bracket, that will be considered as a range. Anything within that range, right? Then question mark. Question mark tells you what? Question mark you understood, dollar you understood, plus you understood. So a lot of such symbols will come in the regular expression. You should know what is the meaning of each special characters that you are getting in the regular expression. So if you understand the special characters, it becomes very easy and interesting to solve the problems. Okay. So coming to this problem, what is the question? The string should have an A followed by anything ending in B. See here, this is a different question. What we are saying is, it has to start with A, but finally that string should end with what? That string should end with B. Got it? So here they have given the terminating criteria. Terminating criteria is B only. You can start with any character, but this should be ending with B, right? So see here, what is the pattern we are writing here? A dot star question mark. So what is the meaning of this question mark and star? After A, you can write anything. It can be number, it can be pattern, it can be special character, right? So, but after question mark, B is coming, right? So after B, you should stop. So there is no plus here. What if I write B plus here? So let me change this to B like this. Is it matching? Or I'll say that this will end with G. Why it is not matching? Because the last character is G. Here also last character is D and C. Now I'll give you a question. If anyone can do it, let me know. So my criteria now would be like this. I want to start with an A followed by anything, but ending with exactly 3 B's. How will you modify this?
B curly brackets 3.
B curly brackets 3, sir. After B.
Curly bracket 3.
3.
First,
Right? Is it matching?
yes.
Yes, sir.
So this kind of regular expression you should be able to write based on the given question. So only when you practice more problems, you will get more clarity. So these are all simple problems I'm explaining. But when you see model questions, you will get more how to do these kind of questions in a better way. Okay. So this also you learned how to use star. What is this question mark, right? Anything. Question mark indicates any number of times, right? Or anything. Dot star indicates any character, followed by B dollar. You already know. If you mention dollar at the end of the regular expression, what is the meaning? It should match the given criteria. It is like saying that movie should end with a climax scene, correct? If there is no climax scene, then it's not called as a movie. So it is like that. Dollar is like a climax scene. Without dollar, it can be anything. Okay. Then there is something called as W. Okay. Now tell me, you see the code and tell me what is happening here. There is no dollar, there is no question mark, there is no pattern except /W and plus, correct? What does W indicates?
No space.
Space, sir. No space.
Is it related to space?
Yes.
Yeah, sir. No.
W means a string should always start with the word. Okay. String should start with word. That word can be anything. So for example, if I write special character, am I getting the output? No. First one is not giving me the output, but second one is giving me the output. Why first one is not giving the output? Or if you want, I will remove the space also. Still, it is not matched. Why it is not matching? /W is indicating what?
It should be start with
Word.
It should be a valid word. You can't combine whatever you want and say that this is my word. My name is star slash ampersand. You can't tell like that. Okay. So it should be a valid word. Word ante alphabets should be there, right? Will it give me the correct output if I write like this? For example, well, grit. Why it is giving me the correct output now? Analyze. Let me start with ampersand. So you're understanding what is happening?
Yes, sir.
Or G grid 1, 2, 3. Right? So slash word will include all such strings, which can be alphabets along with what? Numbers also. So anything apart from this will be considered as invalid. Okay. So you can add as many such characters as you want. Plus indicates there is no limit. You can keep on adding. Okay. Or if I use dot, say I'm using dot in the beginning, it is not matching. I'll use underscore. You know underscore, right? What is output I'm getting?
Found a match.
So I used to tell my students in first year, what is that? Generally, when it comes to companies, certain characters are allowed. So for example, if they want to name certain variables, for example, employee ID. So how will they declare the employee ID? EMP underscore ID. Okay. So these are the standard rules they will follow. That's why underscore, though it is a special character, it is considered as a part of the word. Correct? See, if I'm using any other character, what is output I'm getting? Not matched. So this slash word slash W will include all the numbers, alphabets, and along with that, one special character that is called as underscore. Okay, only underscore. Let me use, I use minus, it is not allowed because certain students will declare variable names like that also. var-a. So it is not a good way to declare the variable. You can use underscore, var underscore a. That is valid. Okay. Similarly, what we are doing here now, I want to search all such words which has z in it, right? All such words which have z in it. How we are doing? Obviously, we require slash w. Slash w is mandatory. That means that string should begin with a number, begin with the valid characters of the word, right? Then star indicates what? In the previous example, we saw here, right? What was star indicating here? Followed a followed by anything, right? It can be followed by anything. Star indicates anything followed by b, we said. But here, what is the condition? After a given word, it can contain any characters, doesn't matter. But at least such word should be containing, any one word should be containing z in it, right? Then again, what is the meaning of this one? This part.
Again, last it contains any word.
So first criteria is word should be there, right? That word should, after starting that word, somewhere you should have a star z. That means one z should be there. That z can be followed by any number of words again. So it is not a problem. The question is that the word should contain a particular character called as z here. So in this particular example, where we are seeing the z, only one z that is appearing where in this word.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So imagine doing all these things with the help of loops, sorting or searching. How much task, how much difficult it is going to be, right? We have to traverse the array until we find z. Then once we find z, we have to return true condition. So with the help of Python, such kind of tasks are simplified actually. So to summarize this regular expression, in what kind of applications this will be helpful? Any real-time applications that you are thinking of?
Searching.
Searching. Yes. searching, basic searching is fine, but searching with certain criteria, yes or no?
Yes.
Search with certain criteria. So to show you actually the real-time application, we have our Moodle only. For example, our Moodle uses this concept just to give you the clarity. For example, so see here, we are having something called as match. Match anything based on keyword, right? Suppose I'll say keyword is something like 2. What I'm getting here? Or I'll say match anything starting with A. Or we'll say certain roll numbers starting with 222 only, right? So
Yes, sir.
for examples here, inactive for more than is there. So here I'll select from past 1 week, right? I'll apply the filter. So what it is showing me, it is showing me all such students who are not active from last 1 week, correct? So whoever has not accessed, suppose some people have never accessed it. So it is filtering based on what? Based on this condition. So regular expression is important or not? So
Yes, sir.
to do this kind of task, you would need to have a basically this kind of applications will use these regular expressions. So without this concept, we can't do this, make this kind of jobs easy, correct? Otherwise, it will become very tedious, correct? For example, here, if I click this N, this is also using regular expression. It is filtering all such students whose surname starts with N, correct? Whose surname starts with N. So you can see all the numbers, all the roll numbers are displayed, whose surname starts with N. So this is a regular expression actually. Okay. So we can call them as a filters or searching. Some people told searching, right? So it can be called as a searching also. So a lot of such criterias are there, enrollment methods, right? Manual. So all of you comes under manual only. Right. So I can filter who are the students, who are the managers, who are the teachers. For example, teacher keyword has to match, right? So if I created certain people with the teacher's role, right? So in this, okay, only ma'am, Sashi Prabha ma'am is there as a teacher, right? So remaining all people are, for example, course creator, manager. Why it is displaying, can tell me? Why it is displaying only one madam name? Anyone? Can anyone tell me? Because in this Python programming, all teachers are there actually, but it is showing only one madam name. Tell me why?
Sir, N letters, sir.
So there are two criteria.
Surname.
The account should be of teacher and that teacher name should have N in it, correct? So I'll make this as all. Now you see so many people are displayed here because all of them are having teacher role, correct? So this is how regular expression will be useful to develop these kind of applications. Okay. These are people who are having manager roles. So all these things you can do with the help of regular expression. Only job of regular expression is to make searching easy. You can write down that to make searching certain things easy, right? It doesn't have any other applications apart from that. Only searching part we are doing based on criteria. A lot of criteria is there. For example, what is the criteria for your Moodle password? It should have a lowercase letter, it should have an uppercase letter, and it should have a
Two
one
character.
character, one integer. Only if your string contains all these things, then only it is a valid password. If it doesn't contain at least one less than character, it is not a valid password, right? So that also comes under regular expression concept because it is a fixed pattern, it is a fixed string. And is there any order, particular order? There is no order, right? There is no order. So it can contain any of them in random order. So you can try to write a regular expression for password condition. That is the question I'm giving to you guys. What is that? Write a regular expression for password. You can note down this question and try to do it. Okay. So write a regular expression for password. It should contain what? It should contain anything, right? Anything, any character, right? But length should be 10. Length should be 10. Okay. No particular order. No particular order. Condition is one digit, one alphanumeric, and one special character. Alphanumeric can be both uppercase and lowercase, one special character. So you have to write a regular expression for this and apply that. So I'll try to add this question in the Moodle. So before I add, you can learn it and be ready. Okay. So this is just an introduction. More things I don't want to explain because there is no limit to achieve what you want to do here. A lot of things you can do with the regular expression. But I hope this give you some clarity on what kind of applications can be developed using regular expression. Okay. Okay, so in the previous session, we started Python object-oriented programming, right? So few introductions I gave already. Why Python in OOPS concepts are important. What are the principles of OOPS concept? Can anyone list out what are the 5 to 6 important concepts of object-oriented programming? What are they? Classes, objects, then
Method.
methods,
Polymorphism.
yeah,
Data abstraction.
Data abstraction.
data abstraction, data encapsulation. Correct? Anything else? Right? So if you remember this many, timing, these are more than enough, right? These are the most 90% most important features of object-oriented programming. There are many more, but at least if you know, it covers under 90% of the OOPS concept problems which you can be able to solve. Okay. Classes, objects, methods. So in the last class, we covered these classes, objects, and methods. Once again, I'll quickly go through. How will you create a class? You should use a class keyword followed by the class name, right? Then each class can have its own parameters, own variables, and it can have its own method also. Then if you want to access the data members of the class, you can't access it directly. With whose help you need to access? Who will help you to access the data of the class? Objects, correct? So objects are the entities which will implement the class, right? Which will implement the class or which will access the class. What is the example I gave you for object and class? Who can be considered as objects? Who can be considered as a class?
Teachers and students.
Teachers and students. Okay, that is one example. In a longer like in a bigger terms, if you want to explain, class can be considered as a GRIET, correct? GRIET as a class. Your GRIT is a class, and all the students who are coming to GRIT, right? They can be considered as objects, right? GRIT can also have its own methods. Who are they? GRIT can also have its own variables, not the objects. Who are they? What can be?
Faculty, students,
Faculty.
Faculty, non-teaching staff, right? Non-teaching staff, faculty, departments, right? All of them can be considered as a variables which comes under GRIT. But objects are not the part of the class, right? Objects are whom? Objects are someone who comes to GRIT, right? Who uses the methods, parameters available in the class and try to do their own work, correct? So one thing that I told you is objects are students. Who else can be objects in terms of GRIT? Who else can be objects?
teachers,
Teachers? No, I told already. I am assuming that teachers are part of the GRIT. So they come under the GRIT. They are not the objects. Who else comes to GRIT and implement their own thing and does some operations?
students,
Students, yes, already told. Think. So this kind of logical, you need to understand these concepts because programmatically it becomes difficult if you don't understand, right? Can you call the companies that coming to GRIT as the objects?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Correct. They are not part of the GRIT, but they are coming and utilizing the resources, utilizing the methods available. So the methods are nothing but your departments. So CSE is one method, IT is one method, mechanical civil is one method. Based on the company, they will come and get the data whatever they want to, correct, from the available class. So that is a real-time application of this inheritance concept. So if we are following this through the programming also. So in certain conditions, for example, there is some function, right? There is some class. That class name is, for example, arithmetic operation. What is the class name? Arithmetic operation. Tell me what can be the methods inside this arithmetic operation?
Addition, plus subtraction, multiplication.
Addition, subtraction, multiplication, all those can be methods, right? Now this class doesn't have the variables. For example, it doesn't know what to do, whether it wants to do the addition, it wants to do the subtraction, it wants to do the multiplication. So who will give the clarity to this class? Do this thing, do that thing. Who will give the clarity?
Object.
Objects will give the clarity, right? So this object will send certain parameter to this class. For example, it will tell, take two values, 2 and 3, and do only multiplication. I don't want to do other thing. I want to do the multiplication, right? So one object is doing the multiplication. I can create another object that wants to do the addition. It will do only addition. So you are understanding the importance, right? So with the help of the class, what we are doing? What concept of hoops we are achieving? You listed down certain features, right? What was the last feature?
Data encapsulation.
Data encapsulation, right? So what do you mean by data encapsulation? Encapsulate, generally, what is the meaning of encapsulation? Encapsulate means
Capturing.
together certain things under one roof, right? For example, you say tablets, also called as capsules, right? All similar types of capsules will have a one particular pack. For example, suppose cold related capsules have a separate package. Fever related capsules have a separate package, right? So when I go to medical, I will ask only the data related to my problem, right? I will not ask, give me any tablet, I want to just cure. That is not possible. So it is an important feature in real time, in real world. So as a humans, we are also applying OOPS concepts in real life. The same thing we are applying in the coding also. Got it? So we are encapsulating what here? We are encapsulating certain functions and we are binding them together. Got it? So I want to do only certain features based on certain classes. Now your program, think about your program which contains 100 classes, for example. It has 100 classes. Right? Now I'll give you a condition. So first I'm explaining in general terms so that everyone understand. Okay. So think about GRIT only as a class. What and all could be the methods? You told departments, fine. What else? In the departments, admission department is separate, account department is separate, right? The actual departments, the names of the departments, they are separate. So when I say I am from account departments, will I go to class? Will I go and check whether students are attending? If I am from the account department, what I will do?
No, only accounts.
I will only go and sit in my cabin, which is the account department, and I will monitor all the account related activities. I am least bothered about what is going on at the other places. Correct? But what is the importance you are understanding? Even that account also comes under which class? Which program? The whole program is what? GRIT. This GRIT is having around 50 classes. Correct? Correct? And each class can be utilized in its own way by individual objects. Correct? Individual objects. So the objects can be teachers, the objects can be students in this case. So objects can be outsiders also, right? For example, I want to conduct some activity. I want to conduct some event in the GRIT. So they are also considered as an object. So this is an important concept. OOPS concepts are really important. Understand why you are learning. If you understand, you will get a lot of interest to do programs. So first get the clarity why you are learning this. Okay. Abstraction means I told already. Abstraction means hiding certain details and only showing you the necessary features. So in the last class, I told you I can hide certain programs in Moodle, which is not visible to you. That is an abstraction. I'm only showing you certain programs. I am blocking the modules based on the deadline. This is called as abstraction, right? We are achieving that abstraction already in real life. Okay. So a lot of programs I discussed in the last class. As I told you, each class can have its own variables. So here class, how to declare a class keyword followed by the name of the class colon, then the number of variables that you want to be inside the class. Then by default, there is something called as init method. I told you init method is a default method in the class. Okay. If you don't call that any method by default, which method will be called? Init method will be called. So how to create the objects? So the object name followed by the class name followed by how many parameters you are sending to that particular class. Okay. So here 2 parameters I am sending. What is important? I told you in init method, self keyword, self or any other name which you want to give. It is not fixed that as a self. Okay. Along with self, you need to have 2 parameters. Got it? If I remove self, so obviously we'll get the error. So don't get confused. Self is mandatory. Okay. For this particular init function, I'm calling with 2 parameters. See the thing that you are observing here, I'm not calling this init method directly. So how this data is storing into this particular name and age variable? Whenever I create an object of the class, by default, which method will be called? Init method will be called. So you need not explicitly call that. Okay. If you don't call any method, by default, init method will be called. Okay. So with the help of init method, we can initialize the class variables. So we are creating 2 more variables with the name self.name and self.age. These 2 are coming from the formal parameters, for actual parameters. And these 2 are nothing but the parameters inside the class, right? Then how can you access the class variables? Accessing the class variable using the name of the class. So you can't access the class variables directly. If you want to access the class variables, you need to mention the name of the class, right? These 2 are initializing. Then here I'm not writing the person.name. Can anyone tell me why? Should I write person.name here while printing? So will I be getting the output? I'll get the type object person has no attribute name, because See, this particular name doesn't belong to this class, right? This class has only one variable. What is the name of that? Count. In simple terms, if I want to say, there is a department, for example, CSC department. Suppose initially for the 2022 batch, if there are no students in the CSC, what will be the initial count? What will be the initial count? Zero.
0.
Now, as and when students come and get admitted to that college and select CSC, now we are storing and creating their data, correct? Based on the name and age that they are sending, correct? Age and whatever the other details, right? Then I am accessing this count variable and incrementing the value. Got the point? So by default, generally classes will not have their own variables, correct? Class most of the time. Classes will have methods, but the variables will be sent by whom? Sent by the object that you are calling with, correct? So now say Ayan and Abhi are the two students who got admitted into the class CSC, you can say. But Ayan and Abhi data, we don't know, right? What are the data they are sending? For example, suppose this Abhi wants to send one more data. For example, his location. Where else I need to modify? Where else I need to modify?
Age after.
Will it work?
Comma place.
Should I write here city? Should I write here self.city equal to city? Will it work? What is the problem I'm getting? Person.init missing one required positional argument. Understood? So how to include city in this code? Where else I need to modify?
Sir, in the person one also, you have to add a city.
Now I made the condition that this person also should send the data. This has to be changed to self dot, right? What is the output I'm getting? I'll change this to, for example, something like this, which I order. What is the output I'm getting? When I'm printing the self.city, how the function is behaving here? For every object that you are creating, right? It is printing only the city details. Finally, what we are printing? We are accessing the count variable of the person. Now you need to understand why I am using person.count here. Why not self.count? Will it work if I write self.count? So what is the error I'm getting? Name self is not defined. So you need to understand that this entire thing is a separate function, separate class, and this is a separate class. So this count is not part of this particular data. That is after 10th line. That means that is the end of your class actually. After 10th line, that is end of your class, because this print statement comes within this class, right? Now you are starting from this line means, so whatever you're writing from here is not part of this class, right? So that means this printf statement you are writing from outside the class. You need to understand. We are calling this self.count from outside the class. So obviously you can't use the self parameter here. So to access any class variables outside the class, what is the format you need to do? You need to mention the class name. Okay. Class name followed by dot operator followed by the variable name. In that way it will work. Got it? So we are calling the count of the person, creating the data, right? And for each creation, I am printing the city name, right? After creating each object, print self.city. Now you can get a confusion. So we are not mentioning person one, person two here to print the city. So who is taking care of that internally? I can create as many objects as I want to. What is happening? So as many objects you want, you can create. Every time you create an object, which function is getting called? This init function is getting called, all these values are getting initialized. Suppose if you want to print one more detail, you can do it. Self dot name you can write, right? So for each object that you are creating, the corresponding details are getting printed. This is called as what? Default initialization of values. By whom? By init method. Okay. Init method will do the default initialization. And if you want to print, you can directly access that. That is the init method. So what is the init method? Init method make sure that an instance of the class is created, right? It is also called as what? Constructor. So because it is constructing the elements of the or the values that you are passing to the class, right? Constructor it is. Self argument is the only one required by the init method. By default, what will it have? Self. If you are sending any other arguments, you need to mention after the self only. To initialize the values of the each attribute associated with the object, you can declare extra arguments in the init method, right? So what are the extra arguments we have created? These are the extra arguments, right? But what is that required for compulsory? Self. Suppose if you don't like this keyword, you can use whatever you want. But that should be the first value. So GRIET dot. You have to initialize all the variables, all the other variables with the name that you modified. So is there any change in the output? No. By default, people will keep that as it is to differentiate with other variables. Self means it belongs to the class to initialize the data members passed to that class, right? So now this GRIET is acting like a self, and with the help of GRIET, we are initializing all the objects of the all the objects that you are passing to the person, correct? So this is the importance of creating an object, how to create an object, how to initialize the values through the object only. Okay. And one more thing that you are observing here is, even though this init is part of the particular class, even this init function, init method also can't access the variables of the class directly. It has to mention the class name. Getting my point? It is like this. Even though you are part of the GRIT, you can't do certain activities without permission by the, for example, certain department. Only those departments will give you the permission. So it is like that. So even though this count is part of the student class, and even though init is part of the student class, you can't access this count variable directly. So what is the way to access this count variable? Using the class name followed by the variable name. Okay. So with that only it is going to work. Now tell me what is happening here in this code. Why I'm getting the output count as 3? How many objects I'm creating? This is one object.
3 objects.
Second object and third object. So every time I'm creating an object, what is happening? Init method is getting called. So though we are not initializing any values here, you can't leave init empty. So now I deleted that self keyword. What is the error I'm getting? Init takes 0 positional argument, but 1 was given. Got it? So what is the meaning? Init has to have at least one particular parameter. 1 was given means what? Who has given this one? By default, compiler. Compiler says that init should accept at least one parameter. So that parameter can be anything. Generally, it is self, but I can make that self as any variable also. So no issue. But my suggestion is, if you are using init method, keep the name as self only so that you can differentiate with other method. So understood? Every time we are creating an object, what is happening? Every time we are creating an object, init method is getting called. Then the count value is getting incremented. So this is the relationship between object and class, right? So 3 objects I've created, 3 times this count has been incremented. Similarly, see this. This is a confusing question. What is happening here? All of you see. What is the output I'm getting? the second constructor. You need to analyze why I'm getting the output as second constructor. I've given the hint also. What is that?
Overridden.
Python always calls the last constructor in the given list of constructors. Got my point? Python
yes.
always calls the last constructor in the given list of constructors. So you can write as many init methods as you want, but it doesn't care. It only cares who is coming in the end. This rule applies even for the return statement also. All of you are having idea about C functions, right? For example, int sum, int a comma, int b is a function. Today only I asked this question to your seniors. Nobody knows this answer. They are preparing for the interviews. So I want you to understand. Suppose if this particular thing is doing int sum equal to a plus b. Now I'll return sum. So all of you know this, right? Sum is returned. Now instead of sum, I'll write like this. I'll write sum comma. Assume that I did multiplication also. I did subtraction also. Then I have something like this. Okay. Now this function is called from the main function. This function is called from the main function. I'm calling this function and printing the data. Printf percentage d. I'm calling sum with two values, 2 and 4. Okay. So what is the output of this code you'll get?
6.
6. Correct? Any other answer?
-2.
-2. Some people told -2. Any other answer?
8.
8. No. Am I doing this multiplication subtractions? Obviously, see, I've written only one statement here. All that it is doing is addition of two numbers. So mul and sub, I'm not at all done. So generally speaking, this will give an error. But as I'm assuming that I have done that also.
Only sum.
For example, I'll write int for your clarity, int mul equal to a into b. Then int sub equal to a minus b. Now it is this code is complete.
400.
8 comma 6 comma -2.
400 comma
6 comma
-2 comma 6 comma 8.
8.
okay. So this is the important question. The answer is wrong actually. The answer will be 400. It will not print anything, but it will only print 400. What we are trying to do here, we are trying to return multiple values to the main function. Is it possible? No, we can't return multiple values to the main function at a time, right? To do this, we have pointer concept. With the pointer, we can change multiple values at a time, but with the help of return statement, can I pass values to the main function like this? The answer is no. But it is not an error actually. It is a logical error. It is not a syntax error. What is the value that is coming in the end here in the expression?
400.
400. So all these things people will not be able to help the code. Whatever that value that comes in the end, that will be returned. So the answer for this code will be 400. This was one of the question asked in the interview. Can you return multiple values from the main function in C or any other compiler, any other language? The answer is what? Answer should be no. So if you
No.
know, please write down. So the same logic is applied here, correct or not? Same logic. What is the logic here? Python always calls last constructor in the given list of constructor. So you can write as many constructors as you want, right? The only last thing will be called. The first of all the previous things will be ignored. Okay. So the output for this will be second constructor. Got it? So I'll be executing, you can see. So many things I'm doing differently so that you get all the foundations clarified. So read the comment line here. Counting the number of objects of a class, the constructor is called automatically when we create the objects of the class. So what do you mean by this? I already told you this. The constructor is automatically called whenever you create an object of the class. This is the same code actually. Then there is something called as non-parameterized constructor. What you saw till now is a default constructor. Okay. This init self is called as a what constructor? Default constructor. So if you want, you can make a note. Default constructor. Okay. But I don't want to call this default constructor every time. I don't like this constructor, for example. I want to have some other characters, some other parameters, right? So what is the name? Non-parameterized constructor. So when we want this, we need to use this non-parametric constructor when we do not want to manipulate the value of the constructor that has only self as an argument. That means I don't want to touch the existing data, right? I don't want to touch the existing data. Using the help of the non-parameterized constructor, I want to modify with my own methods, correct? I want to modify with my own methods. For example, in this case, see, there is a default constructor also, and there is a non-parameterized constructor also. So what is this one? Student equal to student. So when you create this, what is happening? The default constructor is getting called, correct? Without passing any parameter. Then what we are doing here, student.show John, basically. So with the help of the class name, I'm calling this show function, correct? I'm calling this show function. Then what I'm printing? I'm printing the name that I've passed, name. So what is the meaning here? When you don't want to alter the existing data within in it or within the default constructor, you can create your own methods and call it with your own data, right? For example, the first problem which I explained here. Here, what we are doing? Does it comes under the non-parameterized constructor or parameterized constructor?
Parameterized constructor.
Parameterized constructor only, but are we directly modifying the default constructor?
No.
We are modifying default constructor, right? We told that the default constructor is this only. What I'm trying to tell here is every student that comes to GRIT should have this minimum 3 details at any cost. That means, suppose name, age, city is compulsory for everyone. Now I will remove this city and I'll say that default constructor I am creating like this: name, age, and for example, the details could be like this: name, age, and driving license, for example, driving license. What I'm trying to say, if you want to come to GRIT, you should have a name, obviously, which you will have. You will have a age, obviously. But along with that, what is one more condition I'm adding? Driving license. Now tell me, is it a good way to write default constructor like this? Can you expect everyone to have a driving license before coming to GRIT?
No, sir.
No.
So what you are trying to say, we are directly modifying the default constructor. That means you are telling that this rule applies to everyone. Otherwise, you are not allowed to get into. Correct? So it is a wrong way of doing the object-oriented programming. So certain things are under the control of init, which should be mandatory, but certain things can be accepted through the parameterized constructor. Now, the people who don't have the those who have the driving license, I can get those details separately. I can create one more parameter, one more constructor, and I can get the details of that driving license. But it is not mandatory. That's what I'm trying to say. City might be mandatory, but city I'm removing and I'm telling that driving license I'm adding here, which is a wrong thing to do. So we can't modify the default constructor directly. Certain things has to be kept as it is. So that's why what is the meaning here? What is the statement I have written here? The non-parameterized constructor should be used when we do not want to manipulate the value or the constructor that has only self as an argument. That means under self, there are some name, some age, right? I want only these two. I don't want anything else which is mandatory. That can be called as a default constructor. Suppose if I want to add anything extra apart from these two, then I should be creating non-parameterized constructor. Okay. Sorry, the parameterized constructor. So non-parameterized constructor means it doesn't accept any other parameters, only self parameter. It doesn't accept any other parameter. That means only one parameter should be there. So this is called as this can be called as non-parameterized constructor, this particular thing. Okay. Now, since this particular thing doesn't accept any variables, how will I initialize the student data? Correct. So what I am doing here. So here I am creating the object on this line, student equal to student of. So what is the meaning of this? What is this one and what is this one? Though the names are same, can I create a object name and the class name same? See here. Please understand. Can I create an object name as well as the class name same? The answer is
No, sir.
the
No.
object name has to be always different. So there is a small difference here. Here S is small letter, here S is capital letter. That's why it is working. So don't get confused that sir is using same thing. Okay. Student dot show is missing one position argument name. Okay. We are passing right why it is given. So this is printing. This is non-parameterized constructor is printing because here I'm calling the constructor default constructor. So it is printing. Then I am accessing. Okay.
Capital S.
Capital S only I'm using. Let me run this in online compiler. This has to be capital. Name student is not different.
Sir, in show function, we have to store the name, no, sir.
Yeah, I'm passing the name, right? The name is John. This John will be sent to the name and it will print hello John, something like that. Okay, wait. This will not work because mhm.
Sir, is it because the object is not created yet?
Object is created now here.
Because when you show that
Okay,
it's jumping to the
see.
sixth line, right?
No, it worked. So the mistake was what?
The object was inside the class itself.
Yeah. So this is a basic indentation error.
Indentation.
Actually, this student I had written from here, right? So now the compiler is thinking this is also part of the class. So that's why Python indentation is very important. Sometimes even we get confused. Okay. So what was the mistake? See here, this particular student, this sentence was inside the class, right? Though you're not mentioning the bracket, if one space is also there means compiler thinks that this is part of this class, which is wrong. Okay. Now I've created this object outside the class student. Then using that object, I'm calling the show function by passing this particular parameter. So which one will be called? This one will be called or this one will be called? Right, obviously this will be called because this is a user defined function, right? This is a non-parameterized constructor. So if I don't want to touch this init method, I can declare my own functions and try to do the operations. But sometimes you can make the parameterized constructor also. See the difference. Previous code and this code, what you are observing. So I'll just complete this and wind up. What is the difference between previous and this one? Here again, I'm telling that in order to access the student method, student class, what is the compulsory criteria? You have to create an object with a certain name. If you create an empty object, obviously, suppose if I remove this, what is the error I'm getting? Student.init missing one required position argument name, correct? That means it is a fixed criteria for this particular class. This class will create an object only if you pass at least one value to that particular class. What should be the value? Name, correct? So, right? So without passing parameter, you can't create the object of this particular class. Now what I'm telling that to get into GRIT, all of you should have a name, which is a valid criteria, correct or not? So you can change the init method in this case, because it is a valid parameter. It is not a wrong thing to accept. Suppose if I say instead of name, I make it as a driving license, DR, then again it becomes invalid because it is not mandatory for every student to have a DR, correct? Driving license. Then this data I'm printing. And what is this line doing? It is initializing the value that you have passed to the function, to the class, right? So whatever name you pass to the class, that it is initializing self.name. It is calling as initializing the parameters passed to the class. Okay. Now to access this particular name, what I'm doing, am I passing again value here after show? No, right? Student.show only I'm calling. But who is helping me to access the name data? This one. Understood? So show function I'm calling. This show function is not accepting any parameter, but default again, it should have its own default parameter called as self. You can concatenate anything with that self.name. Got it? So just a small difference between this and this. Observe here. This is a constructor which doesn't accept any parameter. Here it is a constructor which accepts at least one parameter. If you don't want the init method to be modified, you can change the way the methods are working. If you want to include that in the init method itself, you can add it. But you have to make sure that every time you are passing at least one parameter. Understood? So what is the meaning of the parameterized constructor? The parameterized constructor has multiple parameters along with the self. Right? You can add as many parameters as you want to. Here, how many parameters I'm adding? Only one parameter. Now tell me, if I mention here as ID or Aadhaar ID, where else I need to make the modification?
In show,
In show, what should I write? My Aadhaar ID is, that's all.
Sir, self.Aadhaar equal to Aadhaar.
Aadhaar.
Self.Aadhaar. That's all.
Sir, in
No,
class
sir.
you have to write
Student
self.Aadhaar equal to Aadhaar.
Self.Aadhaar equal to Aadhaar. That's all.
Student equal to
Student.
student.
Hmm. Here I should mention my Aadhaar number, right?
Aadhaar. Yes, sir.
Now you understood the importance of parameterized constructor. So parameterized constructor, you can customize however you want to, but you should know that where to modify. If you misuse it, if you're not able to do it properly, you'll get a lot of errors. Now, if I call it without this Aadhaar number here, what will happen?
It will show error.
Again, now it is showing init method is missing one positional argument. Right? By default, init has self, but here I am sending two parameters. In that one is missing. Correct? One is already there. Suppose if I remove this, what is the error I will get? What is the error I'm getting? Missing two positional arguments, name and Aadhaar. Understood? So these are the different ways to initialize the values in the given class, okay, based on the criteria.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, ma. So here you can mention the student name A, B, C, D. Now, how will I create one more student data? I want to print the name of that student and Aadhaar number. How will I create one more student?
You have to create another object.
Another object. I'll mention something like this. What is the output I'm getting? It is showing which student data it is showing.
Python always calls last
Then-
constructor.
Yes. So here the last constructor that I called is on this line. So only this student data is printed. So to avoid that, what I can do? I can create each individual student objects, right? This is S1, this is S2. That's all. What else I should do? I can write S1 dot show here. Correct? You can call the objects in whatever the order you want to. First, I'm calling S2 student data. Then I'm calling S1 data. Correct? So first this is getting printed and after that student one data is getting printed. So this is how you can create multiple objects, right? And initialize the values. Again, there are so many ways to initialize all the objects at a time. So here I'm just explaining how to create multiple objects, just like array of pointers. You can create array, right? Multiple data under single roof. Similarly, you can create multiple objects under one roof that we will see in coming classes. But this part, I hope all of you got understanding. How to create objects, how to initialize, difference between default constructor, parameterized constructor, and the most importantly, why Python classes and objects, why object oriented concepts you are learning. So in the coming classes, we will explore more features. I'm going a little bit slowly because if you understand this, you will never face any problem in understanding Java, any language. I'm giving you that promise, right? If you understand this concepts, you need not to worry about Java and any other languages because all languages foundation is object-oriented programming, except C, because C doesn't use object-oriented programming. So I'll see in the next class, and based on the students' responses, I have enabled certain modules. Those who have not practiced, they can practice the whatever the modules you have missed. And tomorrow, please prepare for Python assessment based on lists. Okay. Fine. So it's already 8:16. We'll see in the next class.